afternoon. The Memphis Landmarks Commission is hereby called to order for its regularly scheduled meeting of April the 30th, 2026. My name is Cindy Tucker, and I am the chair of the commission. Brett Ragsdale serves as the executive secretary of the commission. Mr. Ragsdale, may I get a roll call?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Gill?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Love?
Here.
Ms. Rainwater?
Here.
Ms. Tolbert?
Here.
Ms. Wall?
Here.
Mr. Winter?
Here.
And Chair Tucker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The Memphis Landmarks Commission and the historic district provisions are established to ensure preservation of structures that are of historic value to Memphis. Our function is to preserve significant resources, enhance community pride, and foster civic beauty, and ensure compatibility within designated historic districts. The Commission is authorized to review projects and determine their appropriateness based on the design review guidelines. At this time, I would like to swear the staff in. May remain seated. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Secretary, please provide us a secretary's report if there is one this month, and then explain the procedure for this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a secretary's report, so I'll go into the procedure. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are found on the right podium. For each case, staff of the Division of Planning and Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, the Commission will hear first from those speakers in support of the application, then from those speakers in opposition to the application, and the speakers will have 3 minutes each. And then finally, the applicant will have 3 minutes to provide a rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to members of the Commission. The chair may provide additional time, provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the Commission will be sworn in by the chair. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out speaker's cards for the record. Speaker's cards are available at the front podium. Once filled out, speaker's cards can be submitted to any DPD planner at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from the applicant since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the Commission will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. All motions by this Commission will be made in the affirmative. The bylaws governing the Commission require the affirmative vote of a majority of the attending members to approve an application. The Commission may also vote to hold an application for a period of 1 month. Madam Chair, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order. All applicants have been notified of the hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Okay, thank you. At this point, the Commission will establish a consent agenda. To establish this agenda, the Secretary will call out each eligible case. If any member of the audience or the Commission objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should show by a show of hands when the Secretary reads the case. Once the consent agenda is established, the Commission will vote on all cases placed on that agenda as a whole, and will not hold individual public hearings on each case. Mr. Secretary, which ones are on the consent?
Item number 5, COA 2026-029, 1016 Seattle Street in the Roselle-Ansdale Historic District. And item number 7, COA 2026-031, 1755 Holman Avenue in the Roselle-Ansdale Historic District.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the Secretary?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind the Commission that by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Rainwater?
Yes.
Ms. Tolbert?
Yes.
Mr. Walker? Oh, sorry, Mr. Walker. I was not here. Well, let's just go to Mr. Winter then.
Yes.
Ms. Wall?
Yes.
And Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. If you were here for any of the cases that were just listed on the consent agenda, you have been approved You do not need to remain at the meeting, but are welcome to stay if you'd like to. Mr. Secretary, at this point, I would like to state that the minor COA applications as listed on the agenda have been reviewed and approved by the Commission. The Commission will now continue with the regular hearing of the major COA applications as listed on the agenda. Mr. Secretary, please call the first case.
Item number 1, COA 2026-020, 1682 York Avenue in the Central Gardens Historic District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Okay. Could you state your name and address, please?
Rebecca Conrad, 1500 Union Avenue, 38104.
Okay, thank you. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you seen the Secretary's report?
I have.
Are you in agreement with the report?
I am in agreement with the report, yes.
Okay. At this point, do we want to see anything? Yes. Staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Aisha Penzes with the Division of Planning and Development. This item was held last month, and the applicant is proposing to demolish the old convent preschool building on the IC campus in Central Gardens Historic District. This picture shows the existing condition of the convent structure. Here's the site plan. On the left bottom corner, you can see the location of the convent to be demolished. Central Gardens design guidelines are very strict about demolition of historic structures and stating that if the structure is significant historically, it should be only demolished if it's structurally unsound. If it retains its structural integrity, it should be preserved in place. The Commission requested the applicant to submit a engineer's report, and they submitted an engineer's report which was included in the staff report and the application later last month. Based on the engineer's report, their investigation did not include detailed discussions about structural analysis of the building components. So I'm not clear about whether or not the structure is unsound or still salvageable. So staff makes no recommendation, but if approved, we recommend the following conditions. The first condition is to have the applicant to submit detailed recording of the original structure, including site plans and architectural drawings before we issue the demolition COA. The second condition states that the site shall be cleared and graded and landscaped appropriately, and applicant shall provide a new site plan showing the cleared site with the proposed landscape. And the third recommendation is that the landscaped open space shall remain and shall not be used for surface parking. So this concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions for staff? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Did you have some comments?
No, I mean, we did send our structural engineer through, and he gave the report as mentioned. The really only issue we have with any of the recommendations is actually doing a detailed floor plan of the facility. We can do it. It's going to be very difficult because of the condition it's in. Documenting the outside is easy enough, but doing a floor plan, and I mean, it was a dorm, you know, for nuns, and it's been built on to the back too. It can be done, but it's not easy.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, is there anybody that wants to speak from the public? Okay, thank you. All righty, thank you.
Mhm.
Can I have yeah.
Motion to approve COA 2026-020-1682 York Avenue.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So at this time, we're going to close it to the public questions, and we're going to talk so y'all can hear what we're all saying about it.
I mean, I'm like the last time, I'm totally fine with tearing this down. Neighborhood doesn't mind. It's become an amenity for the neighborhood. I don't think they should have to document this building at all. But that'd be my only change. It's not historically significant to me.
Okay,
Yeah, may I ask a question of staff?
sure.
So, Aisha, what is the intent of condition number 1 to provide detailed photos and drawings?
So the design guidelines clearly specify that if a structure is going to be demolished, a historically significant structure needs to be fully documented. And the second recommendation they have in the design guidelines is that the new structure, which is going to be replacing the old one, needs to be built exactly the same as the original. That's the intent of the documentation. If there's going to be a new structure, then they need to follow the architectural details of the old one.
Okay, that does make
So
sense.
it's for historic documentation and moving forward with
Yes.
any new structure that would be on there.
Yeah, but based on our discussions with the applicant, they don't currently have a plan for a new building at this location.
Okay, good, that was gonna be my next question.
But if they did, you would have that. And
Yes.
that goes with the Central Gardens.
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask a quick question of the applicant?
Is that okay?
If there's no objection to opening the public hearing
Not to
portion
us.
back up, is there any objection?
Ms. Conrad, do you have any existing drawings or anything else that y'all could rely upon or submit for,
For that building,
yes ma'am,
no, there are no existing drawings.
or any photos or anything else?
We have photos, we've submitted photos,
Okay, great.
right?
So
And
there's some documentation?
There is of the four square, basically the front, is the four square, and that's the significance of it. After that, there's not a lot of significance.
Good point, thank you. So,
My understanding is the Central Gardens Association chose to remain neutral. They aren't in support. They were in disagreement on their board, and so they remain neutral for that reason.
Yeah, they step back.
Yeah, because they could not come to an agreement.
Okay.
well, I think based on the comments,
Your thing's on.
it should be.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Based on the comments from staff and the applicant, I agree with Mr. Brown's suggestion to remove condition number 1. There's no intent to rebuild immediately. They have some documentation of the existing. There's not neighborhood opposition, so.
Does that meet with the Central Gardens criteria that if it's just photographs, basically? Or does it need to be, no, seriously.
So,
No structural report has still been provided, correct?
No, there has.
Well, this looks like it just says it couldn't withstand an
Well,
earthquake,
so
but
it's
that's
like
every house in Central Gardens.
Yeah, it's like a partial
Yeah.
structural report because it addresses the fact that if we have an earthquake, it's going to fall down, which,
Which half the cities and
That's everybody.
right, yeah, right.
I would
but-
just add that it does say, yes, it does say all those things, but it also says these cracks in the walls and ceilings are a life safety issue during day-to-day operations. So to me, from a structural engineer's perspective, that is a significant issue.
so that they've been there for an awfully long time. too.
Also true.
I mean,
But it's not
the
currently
structure's not
occupied
been
though,
taken
right?
care of.
It's not currently occupied though, right?
No.
Yeah, and it goes on to say, in this present condition, we are not recommending using the building for habitation of children or adults.
How long since the building has been used?
I believe it's been 10 or 12 years. Is that correct?
But a question we had last month was, had there been an analysis to see what it would take to renovate the building? Could it be renovated? into the 4 apartments that you need instead of torn down and have a new building built with 4 apartments?
Personally, I don't think it can. It would take, I mean, significant renovation to do that. Just because you're talking about, I mean, apartments with kitchens and bathrooms, and it would be very difficult to do, but
I think
I mean, the intent is when they do go forward with the residence for the priests, that it will be built in the vernacular of that neighborhood. So that it could be a 4-square design, to do that with the front porch and all that. That would be, they would be willing to do that and want to do that. They want it to feel like it's part of the neighborhood. And the priests living there would want to feel like they're part of the neighborhood.
And hopefully taken better care of.
I would say
Yes.
I would say that this particular thing, because I know there was a comment here about the IEBC being referenced to it, and one thing that we know with the condition that you were talking about, the building already being, the fact that it would be pretty much a full-blown, not even demolition, it would be a full-blown renovation, which would knock it straight into the fact that you would have to treat it like an IBC item anyway. So I
Right.
think the point that the IBC and the IEBC being considered is pretty much moot because of the extent of work that would have to be done in order to do work on this building. So I part of what we're talking about not needing an additional structural report would be because of that to me. So
Yeah, I think it's not completely getting rid of recommendation number 1. I think it's just getting rid of the part where it talks about the drawings, but still maintaining the detailed photos, because somebody's going to need something at some point whenever this building does get, whenever a building does come back to that
Correct.
space.
That's a great point.
I agree.
Would you have
I
any-
concur.
I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Okay, do y'all have any, I'm going back to what I had said before, is setting any form of precedent. Does this give us, because we're not doing what necessarily Central Gardens guidelines say, and we've had more than of this that we haven't and I've been on, this body for a long time, and we've all gotten, but it was done, it was down the street, you let it, that wasn't even under our purview. This is under our purview now. So that's the question that I have. I want for it to not set a precedent so that even a year or two down the line.
Well, I think that's why we.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
like,
I was
no,
gonna say,
I'm-
well, that's why we wanted them to come back with at least some kind of something to back up the fact that if somebody does come 2 months from now and say, "Oh, well, you let them tear that building down in Central Gardens," like, well, yeah, we also make them go get a structural engineer's report. We also made them take dozens and dozens and dozens of photos to make sure. So we have something to kind of back that up to where if somebody does come back and say, "Hey."
Yeah, but I think also our goal here is when they're coming before us, it is case by case. It is if it was following exactly by Central Gardens guidelines, there wouldn't even be, it would be on consent agenda.
But it would also not be here had they taken care of it originally. They're not new owners that are coming to us that have this issue, that we would ask to go in and do a detailed structural plan or whatever. And so that's just something that I think is.
I mean, I definitely hear that, but this is like 25 years later,
I know.
and if we're talking about owners, definitely there has to have been some kind of change of ownership. So, I mean, we're not even,
The
like,
diocese.
that's not our realm.
The
So if
diocese
we're
is
talking about
always
the
owned-
building.
The diocese is always owned it, correct?
Correct.
Thank
The
you.
diocese has.
Okay.
So I mean, for the focus of the home, I mean, of this building and whatever else around it, but for this purpose of this building, we know that documented and detailed photos work really well. I mean, Stax Museum was built from that very same premise. So I think it's if we're having to rebuild it, I recognize that it was built originally to serve a certain purpose and for certain parameters. 25, 30, 40 years later, there are certain things that we need to have our buildings do, which this would no doubt have to accommodate. So I think it's giving, like us, like with you requiring the fact that we still have the detailed photos, the fact that there is some, at least a base measurement, if that needs to be, and then that way they can come back and reference why certain things may be adjusted, why it makes sense in this case, how it's aligned with the historical nature of the whole property and of the neighborhood itself. So I think by requiring at least to that point of photos will allow us to have that conversation in the future should that ever be rebuilt.
Okay. Well,
I was just gonna say, this is about a campus renovation. And the diocese is not in charge. Each parish is in charge of their own improvements. And I think they're trying to step in to improve this campus, and this is part of that improvement.
Does Ms. Johnson have an opinion? I was just,
Well, generally, if you're going to come in and remove this building, the replacement should look in character, but not exactly. It should still reflect its current place and time rather than going back and replicating 1910 in other words. So, I think that probably the building has a lot of structural integrity, and could be taken down. But the new building should probably, we should see some guidelines on that, so that it doesn't come in and try to replicate. When you start replicating historic preservation, in my opinion, you really cheapen the whole thing. So, I think what you're proposing is probably the right way.
okay, anybody else? Okay, you ready for a vote? Well, I need to,
Well, I want to be clear. So I think that it sounds like that there's some consensus potentially on striking the last part of condition number 1, just to require detailed photos showing the exterior of the structure and whether or not, what those are used for in the future, whether it's, to replicate or to have something that might have been harmonious or,
to go with what Central Gardens has asked for in their guidelines too, right?
Well, and so I think that this is exactly so. For us as the staff who manage the case, we bring to you often what is required,
Yeah.
and then the commission then has and that's why we're discussing it. So you can change the guidelines as you see appropriate, and so it sounded like there was some consensus on this to strike part of the guidelines on this case. And as we talked about, it is a case-by-case basis, so I think you have the ability on each case to make those decisions. So, I don't know, there may not have been consensus, but if not, maybe we get a motion to amend number 1 to strike everything after the first structure and comma. Is
Can I
that?
make a motion to that point?
Yes, because unless there's no objection to that, I don't.
Yeah. I would make a motion that we approve the structure for demolition with the conditions presented by staff and edit item number 1 to remove the words architectural drawings, site plan, and floor plans with all details, dimensions, and measurements.
Okay. Is there any opposition to that? Okay. So then that's been amended, and so if there's no more discussion, we could.
Second, yeah.
Yeah, with no opposition, so we're good. So whenever you're through with discussion, then we can vote on
I think
the
we're
case.
done.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Tolbert?
Yes.
Ms. Wall?
No.
Mr. Winter?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson? Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Rainwater? And Chair Tucker?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, you call the next.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 4, COA 2026-027, 1241 Carr Avenue in the Ansdale Park Historic District.
Okay, is the applicant present? Okay, State your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Joe Thompson with Memphis Preservation Partners, 5100 Poplar, Suite 2700, Memphis.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you seen the staff report?
Yes, I've seen it.
Do you agree?
We agree with everything that their
You did not?
recommendations.
Did not?
No, we do agree
Do-
with everything that of
okay.
their recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Do y'all want to see the report? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Margot Payne with DPD. This is a duplex in Ansdale Park that has painted limestone on the first floor and painted wood shingles above. The two-story porch was unstable and removed back in February. They received a COA to rebuild it exactly as it was. But once they removed it, they realized there were some original materials that had been covered up by the porch and realized it might not be the original footprint, especially this dental molding detail under the eaves. The applicant is proposing to rebuild the two-story porch using the same architectural design and materials, but shortening it by 9 feet on the east side to be more in line with what is believed to be the original footprint. They're also proposing to replace the painted limestone brick with larger limestone blocks and replace the cedar shake siding with new cedar shakes. And here's the product information and a local example of that limestone block. The guidelines value the preservation of changes over time and the original features of a home. So while the smaller footprint would not retain the most recent form of the porch that's part of the building's development, it would restore the original form and proportions of the home as it was built in 1907. So either version of the porch is appropriate under these guidelines. All the original materials will be repaired when possible and replaced in kind. The new limestone blocks are the same material as the original, but it'll be cut and installed in a different dimension. But it's a style that's still appropriate to the home and seen historically throughout the neighborhood. So we're recommending approval with 7 conditions, which allow the porch to be restored to either the original or the most recent footprint, and the lower limestone brick to be replaced with either new unpainted brick or unpainted limestone brick. Or the block, and all of the repair and replacements to be made in kind. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have a question?
So, Margot, I think one thing that I'm just not realizing is confusing is that the doors in the existing building are off-center, but the porch in the proposed elevation is centered. So, is there, yes?
Yeah, I mean, that's part about the fact that
So I think if the way the drawing, I don't know, is there any possible way we can get those two side by side? So that's going to be the challenge, is if you shorten the porch, it's going to appear to be off center from the rest of the house.
basically the drawing is misleading as to what this would look like because it definitely does not reflect what the existing building.
Can I say something?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
We'll address you after we address the staff.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see it? That's the front. Mm-mm.
Why? Can I open it with the phone? Okay, thank you.
A test of your skills.
I don't like this on camera. Come on.
There you go. That'll work. Yep.
I think it can, like, I think this is the proposed one, right? Like, do you have, like, even what they drew with the existing?
Okay, the existing is this one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is this elevation on the right from the original COA for the approved?
It's labeled previous elevation.
Yeah, like,
Yes, so the, here, I'll go to Google Street View. Do you want to see what the porch looked like?
No.
No, this is.
This works. So I think, yeah, the confusion is that the entry doors are actually further to the right side of the house than the drawing
it
shows.
is completely shifted.
And that drawing.
Like, the
has
whole porch is
porch
shifted.
to one side, but it was clearly in the
Yeah.
center.
It's actually
Yeah.
not. Sorry.
I know, but this is different.
I mean, it's like,
Um,
Okay, no. Okay. Did you want to
Yeah,
ask?
the drawings don't match the.
We can ask the applicant. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you look right there, that drawing is not really, it does look like in the center of the house, but if you look at the actual photo, not the drawing, but the photo, so do you see that first floor right window with an AC in the window?
It's bump out back, it's flat. So
So-
your drawing is flat.
I'm sorry, what's
The
that?
drawing is flat.
The drawing looks flat, yes, and I didn't notice that
see
till
it
you said
now.
something, but it is in the same,
See?
yeah, because if you zoom in on the actual photo, if you can zoom in where the doors are, you can see where the original porch columns against the house were, to the right of the mailbox right there. That's where the original columns were, because that's actually clay brick that's in there. And then on the left side of the door, of the 1243 door, right there, that is also clay brick that was filled in. That's where the original columns were, we think. And so
I would still argue that, I understand your point about the side piece, but if you zoom back out, Margot,
You're talking about the center.
well, I meant the window, yeah, exactly. The issue, in my opinion, is that regardless, the doors are off center from the gable, that's the point.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, that's, I'm sorry, I thought you thought that, because if you were looking at that house as flat, it would look like it was, the doors are, in that picture, the doors look like they're in the center of the house.
They
But
still
really, but
If
really,
you look
he's
at the
got,
gable, if you look at the gable, which does not include the window with the AC unit in it, the doors are still off center from the center.
oh,
of the
good
house.
point, oh, I'm sorry, I missed that, good point.
yeah, I mean, even if you think about the far right, if you're looking at just the thickness of what wall was remaining beside the window in the corner,
Yeah.
drawing that all the way down, what's drawn has an entirely way too thick.
I see what you're saying
too
now.
much-
I
Like, it
can,
makes everything off.
yeah,
Because if you're looking at how this is, that porch currently is exactly in the center. You have the proper amount of distance from both sides for wherever that edge of that porch is actually ending, versus what you're showing is that it's completely offset to one side.
I see what you mean
And that's
now.
not accurate.
Yeah. So okay, well, I can get that fixed, but we were, we're fine either way, leaving it where, because right now do you have a picture in there from when we started rebuilding and what it looks like right now, when we stopped and realized? Okay, so right now there is I can send it to you if I need to, but we had the porch back up to just unfinished, the whole length where you see right there, matching what it used to be. When we discovered about the dentils, we decided that, you can actually see the house now. Before, it was, that second floor porch, there's only about 6.5 feet. What we figured out was that second floor porch was probably not covered because of the dentils that you see. And what we've seen a lot is, and what we've kind of come across is that people just leave, or they'll cover them later on because there's leaking, and there's so much leaking. We've got another one at 1474 Peabody we're doing right now, and she's had 4 TPOs in 8 years, I think, on there or something, and it's constantly leaking, so they're having to cover it because it just won't do anything. So that was, we're guessing that that's probably why when they put it all down. We would like to keep it covered. I mean, I'm fine with doing it both. The owner's fine with doing it either way. But, you know, the whole deal behind the limestone is that limestone brick, we talked to several people. We got it quoted, and it was going to be $11.78 per brick at a cost of $170,000. So that was out of the question. What there's another house, I forget the address, but it's the second or third house from Cleveland. It's the one where the turret has the stained cedar shake on the second floor and the stone, like the stone on the first floor. We tried to go with something like that. That was about $70,000 to get that split face stone on there. So the other option to keep limestone was going to be this. We found some other examples. You know, that's about between 28 and 31,000. Regular clay brick, you know, we're less than 20, maybe 17, 18,000, but it looks so new and like Collierville style, we just didn't think it looked appropriate.
Okay, stop there for a minute, please. Did you have does anyone else have any questions for staff?
I do.
Okay.
So,
And then we're talking to staff at this point. Okay.
so Margot, just so I can get my head around how to move forward on this, is the elevation that shows the full-length porch, is that already approved?
Yes.
Okay. So, and then the applicant was just addressing the limestone discussion, so we do need to discuss the remaining conditions, correct?
Yes, if you would like to.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have anything for staff? Okay, thank you. Okay, you can come back up and make some additional comments.
Is there? Oh, okay. I mean,
Got a few minutes.
yeah. So basically, on that, can you go back to the picture where there's nothing on there right now? So I can get the plan, I can get the drawing changed, but where you see those posts that were there, that's where we were talking about. Like I said, we would actually be spending more money to chop off the 9 feet, but it would at least, you know, like I said, the house looks so gloomy with that porch on. When it came up, everybody was like, oh my gosh, you can see the front of the house now. Some people liked it, and a couple people in the neighborhood didn't like it. So that was our main thought, is that, you know, you'll be able to see the limestone, appreciate it a little bit more. The house is on the south side of the street. Those, the 2 left windows up and down are both really large living rooms. They don't get a lot of light. If there was no porch covering it, maybe some more light would be nice, kind of nice in there. But if we can, we would go back with at least getting it as close to original as possible, which would be keeping the second floor covered, but 9 feet off. And the posts would go where the old ones were.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do y'all have any questions for the applicant?
I kind of got a question. I'm sorry. I kind of got a question for staff.
Yeah,
For the
go
applicant,
ahead.
real quick. I'm sorry. On recommendation number 1, where it says shortened by roughly 9 feet or restored to the most recent footprint, is the most recent footprint referring to the picture where it was?
Yes, how it was in February.
Okay.
The previously existing footprint, which they already have approval for to rebuild exactly how it was.
And that's what that first elevation was supposed to be, although it's not what is there because it's not centered, it's off to the side.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
But it's very wide and
Okay, but then now my question for,
Oh, yeah.
so you're saying now that you guys are leaning towards going back to putting it in its original location per that picture, because to shorten it by this 9 feet is not economically feasible for you.
Oh, no, we're spending more money to actually shorten it, believe it or not, because we've already got part of it up, and we'd have to do the columns in a different way. But, I mean, we're kind of preservationists in what we do, like in my company, and what we kind of focus on kind of restoring these. We really, if we find something that's original, it was kind of like finding those dentals was kind of a treasure. Like, oh, look at this, we didn't know they were there. So that's whenever we changed the whole idea, and we're like, well, you know, I talked to Margot, we would like to put it back to where it was, you know, or at least shorten it up some. But, you know, I think a couple neighbors actually said, you know, a couple neighbors said they liked it, a couple neighbors said they didn't like it. And, and my thoughts are, well, and the owner said the same thing, is like, if we're spending so much money putting this back to what it originally was, why not shorten it up and at least, be able to appreciate the limestone on it? But, and that was our thing, because we went through the Memphis room, we looked at some of the old pictures in the Chandler collection. We know that from what we can tell, at least in 1960, or in the 60s, that front porch was still extended. The tenant on the downstairs has been there for 24 years, and she was friends with the previous owners of the house. And that was a long-time owner, and the granddaughter said that was back in the 40s or 50s whenever they did all of this, is what they think, just from mom and grandmother talking. But
Okay, thank you.
So,
do you
yeah,
have-
I do have a question.
Okay, did that
Are you
answer
done?
yours? Did you have? Go ahead.
Okay, quick question for you. When you were talking about the original footprint, because I know you said you were basing it off of the clay tile that was kind of like there was a column alongside the building or something. Like, was this based off of a footprint from the porch itself that you could see that it was extended over?
yeah, right there.
Yeah, but on the porch, not just where you made, like, because in my mind I was like, there could have been a column that was placed against.
Well, the column would have been
versus,
on the edge, I think, and I think the reason that because if you look in some of those homes in Ansdale Park, in some of Central Gardens, on the west part of Central Gardens, when it was part of Ansdale, you'll see that those bricks right there, like, they have a setback inside. The column's basically a half column, as to where the other ones are 10 inches. This sticks out usually 4 or 5 inches. And so, when we pulled one of those bricks off, we could tell that it was clay brick. That's why we assumed that it was back there.
So how's the porch? How's the actual porch? Does it look like there was an add-on as if that porch was?
No, because there's several examples over there where part of the porch, the base will be covered and part of it'll be open air. So we can tell that whole thing went all the way across. But you can also tell where there was columns, actually, the original columns were on the porch. In the right corner of the porch, where they covered up, there was some original ones there. The ones in the middle of the current state is actually, they look like they're about maybe a foot difference from where the probably original ones were. You can see just a little bit, but it's enough that you can tell. There was, in the far corner, when we took that column off on the far left side, there was no markings there.
So basically you're thinking that potentially it was a one-story with a walkable deck that did not have a covering or a roof over that particular portion. It centered on the 2 doors essentially. And then there was an extended porch that was an uncovered portion of it that would just kind of serve the ground floor situation. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Call for, is there anybody opposed or in favor of? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve COA 2026-023846 Garland Street.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to talk. You can sit down right now. You can stay there, but you can sit down. We're going to talk together.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just glad an architect's involved.
Well, Eagle Eye down there spotted it first. Well, I think, in my opinion, I think it's important to keep the porch as the full width, because otherwise it's going to make the rest of the elevation off balance. So I think we should strike condition number 1, which would allow us to go back to the original COA. My only other question there is conditions 2 and 3 deal with materials related to the porch, the column and the siding. Is it important that we address those, Margot? Or I guess the question is, are those items addressed in the previous COA?
They are. The first 3 conditions are essentially copy-paste from the first COA, but I added the ability to shorten the porch for the first.
Got it.
So we could strike them all.
As I was going to say, I would suggest we strike them all for clarity. But then I don't necessarily have a problem with the other conditions. What else? does.
I think if they really wanted to do what they're saying that would be appropriate to, we need to see an accurate representation of what that proposal is as to the correct proportions of what your building is doing. I think part of the problem is that right now with it extended as it is, it actually does feel quite natural for the building, like for the full, because it is pretty much centered on the whole front face of that home. However, I think the option should be, even though you've already said that they want to keep it covered upstairs or not, but I think the option would be either it's not covered or it can remain covered. Like that would be a proper proceeding of this particular design. So I guess when it says I'm not against the 9 feet if we can actually show that that is what would work in this space. Like you actually give us a drawing for that, and you'll have a chance. No worries. Okay. So I think that's it's like the whole thing is about the proportion of the building as it is, and I think it's absolutely commendable that he is putting the building, trying to go back as historically appropriate as possible, because that's what we love, that's what we want, but we also want to make sure that we understand what it is that's going to happen. I don't care about those, like about the limestone brick block and all that stuff. Have at it. That about gave me a heart attack. So anything to make this look like I know you're going to bring it to an amazing state, I'm game. But I think the proportions, and I think that porch is a very important part of making sure that we get that to look right.
I agree.
Agreed.
I actually think the original condition was probably that the porch was full width without the second floor, which is probably why you see the dental molding that y'all discovered. Looking at the rest of the porches on the street, they're all single story. They're all only covering the ground floor. And also, again, just looking at the original or the street view of it, the way that the soffit returns, I can't find the street, find the house.
And the mid floor banding, how it just kind of dies into it.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the soffit of the porch dies into the head of the window, which is probably not how it originally was, which suggests there wasn't a second floor to the porch, or at least a roof, we should say. But I do think that the porch was probably originally full width.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think the full width looks like it works better with the proportions of the whole house.
Okay. Shortening it was going to bring it back to its original state, correct?
I don't think so.
But based on what they saw in the house.
I think it might have been, but it would have only been a single story. It would have been like literally just.
But we're saying we don't want him to be able to go back to the original porch?
I really don't think that was the original. I think it would have looked silly. It wouldn't look right. I don't think
There are examples in the neighborhood of narrower porches.
Yeah, for that one, I think it wouldn't, because it wasn't going to extend up to the second story.
No, that I don't think. was
Right, so
original,
it's
right.
that, and I guess that was, I was like, if it's going back to the original porch, then it goes all the way back to the original porch kind of
Without a second
situation.
story.
But
But
I personally
it
don't think the original
feels-
porch was short.
It feels like it shouldn't, because when you look at the way the detailing came in around the corner on the second, like, it seems like it would have made more sense that there was like either an embedded column or something that kind of hit about center and then it pulled out and that kind of all worked together, however, whatever that is. But it just feels like that banding that went between the first floor and the second floor dies into the where the detailing of where the porch connected to the building. Like, same way as like he specifically recognized that the dentling kind of went all the way across at the bottom part of the eave of that gable overhang space. So it's like either it's going to be a 2-story, you're going to go ahead and go back to the way it was, or you need to remove the second story and it just be a walkout, essentially, that's not covered, is what seems to be the option.
Okay.
And like I said, I was like, I'm not against the idea that this might have been the original, that it just covered the 2 doors and that was it, but we need to see what that looks like, because the current images don't reflect what that actually would be. So if he really wants to push for that, then that needs to be an effort that shows what that's going to look like proportionally.
Was the house built as a duplex?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Did we need to amend the?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve COA 2026-027 for 1241 Carr Avenue. But we strike with the approvals recommended by staff, except for remove 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Oh, can she ask?
They already had approval for 1, 2, and 3, correct? And we're taking that away?
No.
Or you're just
Removing it
taking
from-
it off of this?
Correct.
Okay.
So that it reverts back to the original COA, but he still has the approval to proceed with 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, call for vote.
Well, hold on,
Are
just,
you ready?
now it makes me, does that?
Oh, I think, didn't you want to respond? Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
say.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I saw you, and I was like, I want to make sure, to Ms. Rainwater's
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
Margot, is that how you?
That's
You
above
interpret-
Roberts. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, if there's no objection to opening the public hearing portion
At
back
this
up for
point,
the applicant.
a vote. Okay, go ahead. Short, please.
Okay. One quick thing. So we did, and I don't want to sound argumentative or anything, we were able to tell that the bricks that are above the window, it was on this picture. So there was some stuff done, basically what they kind of chopped off more of that. Margaret, you know what that's called? It's the little flare out that goes on the second. I'm not really sure.
I don't know what it's called either, but this.
Every house over there has one, just about. But anyway, they basically cut some more. We were able to tell that it was, but now, and like I said, we're fine with going back to this. Or if you look where the cursor is right there. So that actually, we can tell, like, because those cedar shakes are actually different. If you look, you can't really see the picture, but if you look close up, they're actually different, all the way to where the post was. And then you pick back up, if you see there's a little bit of difference in size, it might be hard, but there is some difference. So that's another reason they gave us that thought. We're fine with going back to the whole porch, because honestly, it's already halfway built right now. So we're fine with going back across it. However, I would like to address over the second floor right window, right there, if you look above that window, that dark spot on the paint, it's super ugly. And when the porch was there, it covered up that window, and it was just hideous looking, I thought. I mean, it looked like an afterthought. And I want to talk to the planner, or out there, the guy that did the plans, and see what we can do. Because, I mean, yeah, you're going to have this weird, awkward soffit that's going to be hanging over half the window. If you look at that second floor window, there's actually still a piece of wood hanging across it.
You've got, sir, 2 minutes.
Okay.
We're giving you like a rebuttal, so 2 minutes to go.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. I want to address that because, up there, so that's where that porch came across. And then if we go back with the COA, that's where it's got to stop, or that's where it's got to go back.
Yeah, that's why I think that porch probably didn't have a second floor. And I think to Joyce Lena's point, you could consider, or we could discuss a consideration to not have the second floor, but then what do you do about the door on the second floor?
Well, I think the door, I feel
Well, no,
like
I mean, I
the
think
door
you were
was
saying you
there.
wanted-
I think it just wasn't a covered, kind of like the.
Right, it wasn't
the
covered.
walkout
Yeah.
with the pediment or some kind of railing or something that kind of just kept it to that. Like, I think everything that he's spoken about reflects that probably never had a covering, and then that came
I agree.
in after the fact, which is why you can see the denseling kind of coming on in and like on both those sides.
Are you suggesting you like the flexibility to not have a second floor or a roof on the second?
It's too much of a risk on the leaking and stuff. I mean, it's just people walk on those TPO liners and stuff, and they say they're rated, but they're not. I mean, and it's too expensive to not have it covered up. So if somebody's going to be up there, it has to be covered.
Is there any way to extend the slope of the roof that's already there so that it comes out?
The problem is, you can tell on there before, is that the water, I don't know how, but if it rolls down maybe rolls down the shingles, it gets behind that. And there was previous water damage, like from years back, you can see that we saw from the inside of the walls. So,
Yeah, because I think part of the problem is that they built the roof so that it kind of like doubled down, right? Like it goes over that, and then you drop down against this particular, that eave right there, the fascia of that eave.
Yeah.
And then they built that other roof kind of right under that, which is why it's smack dab into the
yeah,
densely.
we had Poe Engineering out as well. They did a full report on the house and everything. So, and that was just kind of what they had said too. He's like, it's probably leaking. That a lot of the structural problems were caused by the leaks.
So if there was a way to extend like the way that roof that's falling right underneath the gable and actually make that part of the main roof and just kind of like, you think that
Oh, well.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
going
no.
into design
Well, this
mode.
is kind of
Okay.
turning
No,
into a long
I was
discussion.
gonna say, you said, I'm confused by your question now, because you said, you wanted to address the soffit that hits into the window head, but you also don't want to leave the roof uncovered, or the porch roof uncovered.
Wherever there's porch, we want it covered. That's for us. That's it, absolutely. So if we need to go back the whole length, that we're fine with that to what it was. But if above that window is what I can't stand. I think it looks really bad. So if we could shorten that.
That's the way it was.
Right, but that was an afterthought. That was,
But it's been there for how long now?
Right.
Consider it existing, you have to put it back that way.
Okay. Let's see.
So do you have any other questions about that?
What's that?
Do you have any other questions?
Oh, no,
about
I'm
that?
good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can sit down. Okay, so we were in the middle of
A vote.
Well, so right now we have a proposal to strike conditions 1, 2, and 3, and there was no objection to that. So we have that currently. Do we need to amend any of the other conditions? I know there was a discussion about seeing drawings. Would you want that to come back to staff for approval, or?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
So we can add our standard condition that
And if there's
accurate
any
drawings shall
we
be
could do
submitted to
that.
staff for
Yes.
approval before the issue of a COA.
Right.
That
And
if
maybe
there's
staff
any
could talk to them about depth in drawings so that you can see actual depth.
Yep.
Because the flatness of it makes it difficult to, even people that know what they're looking at, to look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
And just to be clear, I think that unfortunately, the soffit does hit the window head, but I think it would look weird without it. Right? Unfortunately. Okay.
Okay. So we're good with those 4 conditions then?
Yes.
Or actually 5, so we're going to add the condition to come back to staff for
Drawing,
approval. So, okay.
We
All right.
ready?
Ready for a vote?
Yeah.
Ms. Rainwater?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson? Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Tolbert?
Yes.
Ms. Wall?
Yes.
Mr. Winter?
Yes.
And Chair Tucker?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Could you call the next case?
All right. So our next case is item number 6, CLA 2026-030, 576 North Claybrook Street in the Speedway Terrace Historic District. And originally the applicant had some concerns about some of the conditions, and they unfortunately had to leave, but Ms. Penzis worked with them, and we have come to an agreement with them. So I think she's going to present those, and if there are no concerns, then we can approve it with those conditions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Subject property is a 2-story single-family home, which was built in 2024. It's a new structure in Speedway Terrace Historic District. The applicant started work installing a new front yard fence, a wrought iron front yard fence, but received a stop work order last month. So here is the original site plan that the applicant proposed: a 4-foot fence, front yard fence, and then a 5 feet tall wrought iron fence to the side. If you can look at these pictures that I have, they already started constructing the supports for the wrought iron fence at the front. And this is the side that the wrought iron fence is being proposed to tie into the existing wooden fence that they have for the rear yard. Their initial proposal does not meet the design guidelines because Speedway Terrace design guidelines require front yard fences to be no more than 3.5 feet in height and allow open view of the front facade of the structures. But their proposal was 4 feet in height. For the context, this property is in a very tricky situation because there are only 2 structures that face North Claybrook. Every other structure within the vicinity face different ways, and all of these structures have rear fences, walls that are exceeding that 3.5 feet height. So I talked with the applicant just now before he left, and he agreed to have 3.5 feet wrought iron fence at the front up to the point of the building wall, and then have 5 feet wrought iron fence tying to the back wooden fence on the side. So my conditions were to have 3.5 feet in height. We can strike the second condition to have the driveway gate to be set back 6 feet and to be maximum 6 feet in height. The applicant agreed to have their driveway gate to be at the sidewalk over here, but to be 3.5 feet in height. So it's meeting the design guidelines standards for a front yard fence height. And this concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for staff? We're ready for a motion? Let's go. I motion.
Motion to approve as staff has recommended.
I second.
Can we call? Roll call. We've got it.
Ready? Okay. Mr. Winter?
Yes.
Ms. Wall?
Yes.
Ms. Tolbert?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson? Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Rainwater?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I appreciate staff for handling that and hate that he had to go.
He was really apologetic. He wanted to stay, but he had a work emergency.
No, we understand. But thank you for taking care of that.
All right, and our last case is item number 8, and it's a National Register nomination. It's 2026, it's NR 2026-001, 62 and 70 West E.H. Crump Boulevard. It is the J.R. Watkins Products Building, and I believe our Commissioner, Ms. Johnson, is going to give us a brief presentation. We can do it there, that'd be fine. And we can roll the slides. I think we have a couple of slides, so.
Yeah, may I just stay here?
That's absolutely perfect.
Great.
So.
The properties are 2 warehouses. That whole area once was warehouses, but now this is what remains. So originally, I thought that the one on the left, the prairie style one, was the old one, and I didn't even pay any attention to the other one that much. Then in Nashville, they said, well, Judith, the other one was a very distinguished firm as well. So they were built originally, it was the Watkins Products Company, and they were nationwide, and they made cosmetics, and they made some food products. And then for Memphis, they chose to make bug spray. So, so it was so popular, and there were so many bugs that they have to put in the second building, the annex to the left. It's very heavy, very well made, because the vats were apparently just enormous. So that stayed there, I think until about the 1970s. And then that whole area, just the whole dynamics changed so much, and we didn't really need that kind of bug spray anymore. So it was purchased then. So then they put it, so it was written up as Habs Hair. It was like a real significant building. And that's why I went apeshit over the wonderful Prairie style. But apparently Habs Hair ignored the first one. So it was listed with Habs Hair, but then a warehousing company came in, and the United Warehouse Company, so they used it until quite recently. It looks kind of rough. The one building has had a lot of window loss, but it retains integrity really well, and the owners hope to do multifamily with some sort of commercial on the first floor. So I think it's going to be a really good project, and the tax credits, the historic tax credits, will really make a difference in the style and the quality of work they can do.
Y'all have any?
Yeah, and there was a great picture. I don't think it got picked up, but at one time there was a muralist that was running around there, and he painted a little girl, and she's sitting on, so it's on the west side of the far building, and she's sitting there on the, kind of aligning herself on the stairs. It's really funny. So it apparently has been also a pop art project too. So at any rate, hope your consideration. I think I'm going to Nashville next month to go to the Florida Historical Commission for it. So,
Hey, Judith,
yes.
you're talking about a different illustration, not the one that Brooks put up there, the big one that Brooks.
Oh, was that Brooks did? Oh, yeah. No, I thought that was really cute.
Yeah,
Sadly, it faded away.
That was their idea. They had like 5 or more
That,
downtown.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe Spake told me about it, but he didn't really know much of the history, and I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, there's
but,
a bunch. There were several of them around.
Yeah, it was really a cute idea. There it is. Look.
It was
There
It's
she
very
is.
cool.
They
I
were all
wanted to share
related to
this.
pieces of art.
It's
Oh, okay.
There, just pieces of art that were, and they had one in Glenview over there, and they had another one in the vacant lot that used to be a liquor store right across from where Ma'am is now.
Oh, okay.
And then there were a couple of other ones. Those are the 3 that I recall, and I went around and found them. And
All right. Well, next time I have a nomination like this, I'm going to call you. Okay.
no, I loved that.
Yes, thank you. I
There
did
was a
too.
great one. Oh, excuse me. There was a great one by the Civil Rights Museum.
Oh, okay.
Fabulous. If I find them, I'll send them to you. I've got them on my phone.
Okay.
Anyway, that was a lovely. That was so exciting to go do like a little treasure hunt.
Well, and I'm really excited that we've got a buyer. He's been working on that about 3 years to
Good.
try to buy it from some
They're
properties.
fabulous buildings. And
Yeah,
it'd be
it
sad
really
to
is.
see those die
Yes.
completely.
And there's a lot of parking, and that whole area I think is really ripe for redevelopment. So we'll hope for the best.
Are we voting on this?
Yes, so if we can get a motion and a second.
Motion to approve item number 8 in our 2026-001. Well, you gonna do it? You wanna do it? All right, 6270 West E.H. Crump Boulevard.
Have a second. Call for vote.
I do have Ms. Johnson recused as of this, so Mr. Gill,
Yes.
Ms. Love,
Yes.
Ms. Rainwater,
Yes.
Ms. Tolbert,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Mr. Winter,
Yes.
and Chair Tucker.
Proudly, yes.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Are there any additional announcements?
Yes, real quick, we'll talk about our training session in the morning. If Ms. Payne wants to do that.
Camp training is tomorrow.
Which
We're
one?
so excited.
We're so excited.
The doors open at 8:30 and we'll have coffee and donuts, and the program starts at 9. So we look forward to seeing you, and thank you so much for being there.
At what time? 8:30 or 8?
8:30, doors open, program starts at 9.
Okay.
You said coffee?
There's coffee and donuts.
Oh, and donuts?
And donuts from Gibson's. Jeffrey will be there. And there's lunch, catered lunch.
Yay. Who?
Sold.
Is it a surprise?
Yes,
Okay.
it is a surprise because I don't know who it is.
He had a question. Did you have a question before we?
What about item number 2? Did we hear that one?